Picture this. It's Tuesday morning and you're checking your banking app and there's a big change that you don't recognize. Not a big one, 40-something dollars. You assume it's a subscription you forgot and just move on with your life. Then, 3 weeks later, a letter shows up. Someone opened a credit card in your name 6 weeks ago. There are 4 accounts, 2 already carrying balances, and your credit score has dropped more than 100 points? You call the bank and they tell you this has been building since February. It's August. That's not a worst-case scenario, that's a median one. The FTC logged over 1 million identity theft reports last year, and most victims had no idea anything was happening until the damage was already done. Not days later, months. I'm Ben, and over the last several months, I've tested the best identity theft protection services head-to-head, real accounts, real conditions. And in this video, I'll show you exactly what I found. The 3 things any service actually needs to do, which ones are quietly ripping you off, and what the numbers looked like when I compared them directly. There's a discount link in the description if you already know where this is going, but give me 10 minutes first, because the gap between these services is not subtle. Or 8. Or maybe 7, I haven't edited this video yet, however long is left here. The identity theft protection industry has a real gift for making something simple feel complicated. I respect the commitment, but strip all that back, and there are really only 3 things a service needs to do. Monitor every place your information could show up. All 3 credit bureaus, your bank accounts, the dark web. Not 1 bureau, not 2, all 3. And not monthly. In real time. If someone runs a credit check in your name, you should know about it before they do. Remove. Your personal information is already being bought and sold by data broker companies legally. A real protection service submits removal requests on your behalf and follows up because these companies don't comply and then just leave it alone. New data comes in, they rebuild your profile, and you're right back where you started. Repeat. New breaches happen every day. A service that isn't working continuously is solving last month's problem and calling it done. Monitor, remove, repeat. The good news is that services exist that do all 3 automatically. The bad news, and this is the part that genuinely irritates me, is that most of them hide the parts that actually matter behind a paywall. Speaking of which, if you want the short version, the discount link in the description will get you there. Otherwise, keep watching because knowing why most services fall short makes the right answer fairly obvious. Here's the trick that most identity protection companies run. They advertise comprehensive coverage. Then, they look you in the eye and charge you extra for the features that make it comprehensive. Credit monitoring sounds like one thing. It isn't. There are 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And lenders pull from all 3. If any one of them isn't being monitored, that's a free lane for whoever has your information. One bureau monitoring isn't partial protection, it's a gap that you're paying for. And while we're at it, if you have kids, this part matters more than most people realize. A child's social security number can be stolen and used for years before they're old enough to know what's happening. No credit history means no one's checking. By the time your kid applies for their first apartment or their first loan, the damage could be a decade old. That's not a rare edge case. It's one of the most common forms of identity theft there is, and most basic plans just don't cover it. LifeLock is probably the most recognizable name in this space, and this genuinely pains me to say because it's probably the second best option out there, but they don't give you all 3 credit bureaus until you're on their highest tier plan, a monthly price that would make your streaming subscriptions feel like a bargain, for features that should be the starting point, not the finish line. This model is everywhere. Get you in cheap, charge extra for the parts doing the actual work. Once you see it laid out, it's a little hard to unsee, which is exactly why I decided to test these services myself instead of taking the marketing copy at face value. I signed up for LifeLock and Aura at the same time under identical conditions. Here's what happened. Dark web scanning, this was the test I cared about most because it's the hardest one to fake. When Aura scanned my personal information on the dark web, it came back with 45 instances of my data. LifeLock, same conditions, found 4. That's not a close race. That's one service doing the job and one service doing a very convincing impersonation of doing the job. Alert speed. During testing, Aura flagged a credit inquiry in real time while the event was actually happening. Not a day later, while it was in progress. That kind of speed matters because the window between when your information gets used and when the damage becomes genuinely hard to reverse is often measured in hours. Data broker removal. A few months ago, Aura was actively removing data from around 30 brokers. That number is now over 200 and growing. That's not a footnote. Ongoing removal is the whole point of this feature, because brokers rebuild your profile when new data becomes available. One-time removal doesn't do much. Continuous removal actually does. Customer service. I called both. Aura picked up quickly, answered every question I had, and ended the call without once trying to sell me something. LifeLock was harder to reach, and when I finally got through, the rep tried to upsell me before I could end the call. I'll let you draw your own conclusions there. Every Aura plan includes 3-bureau credit monitoring, not as an upgrade, just as the baseline. Real-time alerts anytime something changes across your credit, your financial accounts, or your personal data. Dark web scanning, automated data broker removal with ongoing follow-up, identity theft insurance starting at $1 million with the option to bump up to $5 million, a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, and parental controls. Let me translate a few of those into what they mean on a Tuesday morning. The one-click credit lock means that right now, right now, no new account can be opened in your name. You unlock it when you need to apply for something, you lock it again when you're done. 3 seconds. Removes the most common method identity thieves use. The dark web monitoring means the parts of the internet you'd never think to search and wouldn't know how to search if you tried are being watched automatically. When your information appears somewhere it shouldn't, you find out immediately, not 6 months from now when the bill arrives. The data broker removal means the companies quietly selling your home address and phone number to anyone who wants it are being told to take it down and then checked on repeatedly to make sure they actually did. The $1 million insurance policy means that if something does go through, you're not handling the recovery alone. Legal fees, lost funds, lost wages, childcare costs while you're spending your Saturday on the phone with 3 different institutions, covered. And if you're like, I have $2.4 million, first off, go away. But secondly, you can upgrade that to $5 million for an extra $5 a month, moneybags. Now, I want to be honest with you. The bundled VPN and antivirus are not the best standalone versions of those tools. If dedicated antivirus is your main concern, there are better options for that specifically. But the fact that they're included instead of used as a justification for another pricing tier tells you something about how Aura operates. Aura runs about $12 a month. That's less than most people spend on a single streaming subscription for something that protects everything else you spend money on. No tier matrix, no feature buried 3 plans deep. What you sign up for is what you get. Your information is probably already out there. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because statistically, given the number of major breaches over the last decade, it's the more likely scenario. The question isn't really whether to deal with it, it's whether you want to find out on your terms or someone else's. The link in the description gets you the best available discount, including a free trial. The first thing worth doing is running their dark web scan. 30 seconds, completely free, and it will show you exactly how many instances of your personal data are already in circulation. If the number surprises you, that's actually the point. Better to know now than to find out the way most people do. Setup takes about 10 minutes, protection starts essentially immediately after that, and if something goes wrong for you or for anyone on your family plan, there's a team available around the clock who will work through the recovery with you, not just hand you a phone number and wish you luck. If you're not ready to subscribe, at minimum, run the free scan. But if protecting your family's financial situation is something you actually want to do today, the link is below. And the longer you wait, the longer the gap stays open.